Hi, it's Lee Rochester here from Wexford Hayes, and I'm with Darren Umbers, the Managing Director of Performance Health in Australia. Here to have a chat to Darren about some of his perspectives on leadership. Darren, what do you think are the most important trait a leader should have?
I think to connect with your customers and your team and to reach a point where you inspire them to do their best work, and that's very multifaceted from a point of view of how to do that with different types of people, and it varies from person to person, but in the end to unlock that ability and capability for people to go beyond and do their best work and to trust you and your vision and to follow that vision and put together the actions required to make that a reality. And that's quite a leap of faith. You're asking someone to invest an awful lot of their time and effort with you in your vision of the world and to go out there and make those decisions to make that a reality.
Now, being a leader is a pretty challenging task, to say the least. What is the most challenging thing you've dealt with as a leader?
I think we're employed to deal with challenging things every day. We're paid to find solutions to problems and avoid problems. So the laundry list could be long. Some of them are quite funny. I can think of various occasions where we found ourselves in difficult situations and found a great way to recover. I think one of the more resonant areas of challenge for me is when I come across some of that old school thinking around carrot and stick, and I believe very strongly that you only encourage people to give their best if they feel they're in an environment where they can trust you, that you have some understanding of them as individuals, you actually care, you come from a place where you do care about them, and you're not taking that view of stick will champion the day. And I personally believe wholeheartedly that I have achieved most of the things I've achieved because I've been able to support people in my teams to achieve those things. And every now and again you'll come across someone who really believes in that old stick and that the pressure and the whole power drive of being a leader, and it's anti-me. It's not the way that I achieve results. It's not the way that people would succeed in motivating me. And I think I'm quite lucky because that wave of leadership, believing the way I believe things should be done, is far greater than it was 10 years ago. But 10 years ago, as an emerging leader, there was much stronger support for you have to be a strong, powerful, influencing leader without any of that acknowledgement of the way that you can achieve it using your whole self and your whole personality and being true to yourself and others. That there's another way, and I think the dawn has already happened. I'm greatly appreciative of that because that's the way I lead and that's the way I get results. But every now and again you find one of those old thinkers, and as we're taught as salespeople, you have to be a chameleon, but there's a line and you have to draw that line and you have to be yourself.
What are you most proud of achieving?
I think we don't know how long we have on this planet, none of us do. I think if you can say that your interactions with people are overwhelmingly improving the state of their day-to-day, their lives, then you can be proud of that. And I'd like to feel that I've been able to create that kind of environment with the people I interact with. I'm proud to be able to reward my parents for the efforts they went to and the things they went without to see what I could become, and investing in me as a child, and that's great to give back. I'm very pleased to show my kids that there's a better way than money and materialism, and you can achieve things by being true to you. And I think when I come to work, we make people's lives better, and that's been the consistent string that's threaded through every job I think I've ever had, whether it was public access defibrillation and helping that all-important shot get to the heart to revive people before the ambulance arrives, or to now with Performance Health, where we're improving people's day-to-day lives and recoveries so they can live more fulfilled lives. And I feel pleased that I believe I've given as much as I've taken from life, and I think that's a nice balancing position to be at. That said, I've got hopefully a good few yards left to go in the game, and
You'd hope so.
I aim to continue to do that, but it makes me very proud to do that.
What other leaders do you admire, and why do you admire them?
I think anyone who knows me reasonably well knows I'm a great fan of Richard Branson, not just because he's a Brit, but I like the way that he's not frightened to absolutely take on the giants, sometimes fail, but to get back up again. He gets back up and he has another go, and he champions the consumer, and he tries to find a better way when bad service is being offered, when somebody's got a monopoly. The way that he took on Qantas here makes me smile, and I shouldn't say that, but he's provided better air travel for Australians because of the way he brought his Virgin brand and his fun way, enjoyable way of doing things to market, to challenge the established status quo, and I'm a really big fan of that. But he does it with a smile on his face, and against adversity. I think he's certainly not been born with a silver spoon in his mouth. So great respect to Richard. And thinking about more regular examples, I had a leader once called Jeff Waters who worked for Respironics, and probably worked with him for about a decade. And when he left, he wrote me a handwritten letter, which I've still got to this day. And he shared his thoughts, and he wished me the best for the future. And I think he sat down and probably did that with about 20 employees around the world, and he chose me to be someone to receive this letter. And it always reflected in my brain that simple courtesy can go a really long way. And I think taking the time to think about individuals, that has a lasting effect.
What is the best piece of advice you've been given in your career?
I'll share two with you. I think we have an opportunity to take advice every day we turn up, and there's little pieces of advice, and you string them together, and you get a mosaic over your career. And at one point, we'll hopefully all be so wise that we can turn around and share those with people. But two things for me, I think from a very young age, my father said, all you can do is be you and do your best. And I remember that when the pressure's on and we've got a lot going on and things need to happen, it helps keep me grounded. You can't do better than your best, but if you don't do your best, you haven't been true to yourself, and you are good enough. You can do this, and it's kept me well leveled. I think on another level, a past boss of mine, Jim Moylan, I asked his advice as he was leaving the company one day, shortly after we were acquired, and he gave me three words of advice. He said, heart and soul. And at the time, he was rushing to get a flight, and he never really stopped to explain what that meant. He left it up to me to infer what that meant. And I think across the last decade, that's meant about 6 or 7 different things at different times. But if you're not in it to that level, you're only half in it. And I think the other influence I take from that is connecting with people on that level. When you're working with somebody, if you can engage with them and on that level, you achieve an awful lot more.
Look, thanks for taking some time today, Darren, to give me your personal insights into leadership and sharing with my audience. I really appreciate you taking some time today to do that.
Pleasure, Lee.
Thank you, Darren.